boss needs you now more than ever before. I need you. I can't discharge him. He forced me to keep him on.
Forced you? I don't understand.
Karl is blackmailing me.
Oh, madam.
Olga Baclanova, Part 3. Olga seemed to be doing very well in the talkies, but Paramount dropped her contract by the end of 1929. After sailing to England to make a film that never came to fruition, Olga returned to Hollywood and starred at Fox in the musical comedy Cheer Up and Smile opposite Arthur Lake and Dixie Lee. Olga appeared as Yvonne, another femme fatale out to steal Arthur from Dixie. The film itself got mixed reviews, but again, Olga got favorable press. Variety wrote, Olga Baclanova is the femme menace, ashamed to waste a woman of her talent in a pinhead role like this. Variety was pointing out that Olga was simply too talented to keep playing the femme fatale over and over again. She had depth and range as an actress, and while her performances were still outstanding, they were beneath her level of artistry, and often the stories were kind of silly or outdated. Olga then appeared in another Fox musical comedy in 1930, this time supporting Beatrice Lillie and Are You There? It was another typecast Russian temptress role for Olga, and the one review that I found only discussed B. Lillie's performance. During filming, Olga was pregnant with her first child with her husband, Russian actor Nicholas Salsinin. She then took a break to give birth and care for her son before returning to films in 1931 with what appears to be a 3-picture deal with MGM. She first appeared in a supporting role in The Great Lover, starring with Adolphe Menjou, Irene Dunne, Neil Hamilton, and Ernest Torrance. Olga at this time played the temperamental aging opera star Savarova, who was getting usurped by a younger rising star played by Irene Dunne. It was actually a refreshing change of pace for Olga this time, and saw her playing the soon-to-become common type role for older actresses that get replaced by younger ones in backstage musicals and films, most notably by the old 31-year-old Bibi Daniels in 42nd Street. Olga was just 39 in The Great Lover, but take a look at this clip.
I hate that man. He thinks that he and his miserable orchestra are more important than the star. Now, I want to know what I'm going to think for my season debut.
Well, you open as Donna Elvira in Don Giovanni.
No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No.
But, my dear,
I open as Aida. I'm the great Aida. I'm the only Aida. I just sang it in South America. A sensation. They shouted in the streets. Bravo Savarova! Bravo Savarova!
Olga's energy is unmatched. She owns the room and the movie as soon as she comes on the screen. Is completely captivating. She's also hilarious as the arrogant diva and got great reviews, including a nice mention in the New York Times. Olga moved into 1932 preparing to play a role that will probably seem on the surface to be just another temptress. But it would go on to cement Olga's place in motion picture history and become a cult classic, that of Cleopatra and Todd Browning's Freaks. It was a very fascinating idea. Cast actual sideshow performers with physical abnormalities to essentially play themselves in a horror film. Freaks followed a trapeze artist, Cleopatra, Olga, who learns that little person Hans, played by Harry Earls, will receive a considerable inheritance upon his death. She plots with her boyfriend Hercules to steal him from his love, Frida, played by Daisy Earls, marry him, and murder him to get his money. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about Freaks, as it has been oft discussed in plenty of places. What I can tell you is that it originally was a box office flop, as audiences weren't quite getting the real message that Browning was trying to convey through his film. That the sideshow performers were real people with real problems that were first forced to work in terrible, exploitative conditions. It was sympathetic and eye-opening, but the 1932 public wasn't quite ready for that kind of enlightenment through a movie. However, starting around 1960, audiences finally began getting the message in retrospective, and the film has gone on to be critically acclaimed by films historians and critics. Some critics have called it the most compassionate film ever made. Like I said earlier, I watched it for the first time in high school and still remember the chilling performance by Olga. Her Cleopatra is so conniving, so evil, so deplorable that she should rank at the top of the greatest villains of all time list. Olga's work was so strong as usual. I can only imagine how difficult it must have been to play such an evil character. Take a look at this scene where Olga's Cleopatra sets her sights on seducing Hans. It reminds me of her work in A Dangerous Woman. She's doing something so simple on the surface, but the subtext is out of this world and reads through Olga's subtleties. Olga was able to make Cleopatra so evil that the viewer is all but rooting for the sideshow performers to get their revenge on her by the end of the film. I won't spoil the ending, but it has to be seen to be believed. I have to mention really quickly another standout performance in the film, Daisy Earles as Frida. Her emotional reactions to her Hans leaving her for Cleopatra are just heartbreaking and devastating. Olga got fairly good notices and variety for her work. Most of the criticisms had to do with what was written for her character to do in the script. Olga made one last film for MGM in 1932, supporting Jack Gilbert in The Great Downstairs. If you haven't already, please check out my episode about Jack Gilbert, which goes into a lot of detail about this film. In Downstairs, Olga played Baroness Eloise von Bergen, married to the Baron, played by Reginald Owen, whose lives are thrown for a loop when the lecherous and self-serving Carl, played by Jack, is hired as the news chauffeur. Check out this clip.
Thank you.
I beg pardon. Would Madame mind taking the wheel for a moment? It's my ring that's caught in your hair.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, Madame.
Oh, it's a lady's ring.
It was a lady's ring.
How long were you with the Countess?
Nearly 2 years, Madame.
The Countess said you are very discreet, Carl.
Madame can trust me to remember everything and to forget everything.
Drive me to number 18, Louisestraat.
Carl was seemingly just driving the Baroness to town for shopping, but she decides to put his loyalty to the test to see if he can be discreet if she asks him to drive her to the home of a man with whom she is having an affair. Carl obliges. But again, there's more going on here than just an employer testing an employee's loyalty. Olga's Baroness is also quite subtly using her seductive wills on Carl while she tests him. The expression on her face, a slight physicality, and the look in her eyes all suggest that the Baroness has something up her sleeve. She may or may not want Carl to be her new romantic conquest after she tires of her current one. As I mentioned in my episode on Jack, Downstairs was unfortunately not the hit that it deserved to have been. The motion picture herald at least said that Olga was good in her part. Stay tuned with me now for Olga Baclanova, Part 4.